Hello everyone and welcome to Parade. My name is Kiva Brand and you may know me from DIY with KB, where I talk about all things interior design and DIY. I'm back with another episode of Deluxe or Dupe, where we DIY expensive items for a lot less. So in today's video, I'm going to discuss two extremely popular interior decor trends. And while these trends can be pretty pricey, I'm going to show you how to do it affordably. And don't worry, you don't need to be an advanced DIYer to do these projects. So the very first trend we're going to explore today is the macrame trend. You've probably heard of this because it is extremely popular in the bohemian design style, but you've also probably seen it in the modern organic, the vintage inspired, and the cottage core. So we're actually going to work on this one, which is inspired by the West Elm macrame wall hanging. In terms of pricing, it ranges from $150 to $300. West Elm actually makes a small, medium, and large version of this wall hanging, but I actually decided to do the large version because I went to the store to pick up a dowel and my hardware store only had the 48-inch dowel, and I said it is a match made. So we're going to make the large one because that's what they had. To do this project, you're going to need a large dowel, so 48 inches, 36 inches, or 24 inches wool yarn, so you can get that from your local crafting store or online. And then you're also going to need some filigree tubes, so you can get that online, or you could also get that at your local beauty or hair store. That's where I suggest getting them because they are a little bit more affordable. You'll also need some string, and I also recommend having some nails nearby. You're going to need a nail to suspend it when you want to hang it up on the wall. I recommend using nails that are already up on your wall to make this wall hanging. That way you can have your macrame suspended so it is easier to work with, but you're also not creating any unnecessary holes. So step one is to get your dowel and use a piece of the yarn to suspend that dowel. So you can use the macrame yarn, or you can just use a piece of string or yarn you have sitting around your home, but you just want to be able to suspend this dowel. So just tie some standard knots at the end, and then you're just going to suspend it using a hook in the wall. Now, if you're an expert at macrame, you can cut all of your pieces of yarn so the pieces that coordinate with one another on either side are the exact same size, and you can just make them smaller or longer as you get towards the middle. But I think that is really difficult. So what I actually want you to do is cut all of your pieces of yarn to be the exact same size. And then once we've attached all of our pieces of yarn to the dowel, we're just going to actually cut it in a chevron shape. So you actually only need to know how to do one knot for this entire macrame, which makes it super simple. You are doing a Lark's head knot. Basically, all you do is make a loop and then you pull the strings through, and you'll see me do it a couple of times here. But once you get the hang of this, this is all you have to do for all of the strings on this macrame, and you are good to go. And you want to do this however many times to fill up your dowel. You just want to make sure it is full enough because you don't want it to be super sparse. And now we're just going to attach those filigree tubes, and it's really easy. You can actually just pry them open and you just clasp them on to the yarn, and you just have to pinch them closed, and that's it. And you just want to put them in the chevron shape as well. So again, that's why it's really important that you're doing this up on a wall, because you can step back, assess, and make sure that everything is perfectly in line. And then we're just going to actually cut it into a chevron shape. And if you're struggling to line everything up, you can always grab some painter's tape and kind of put everything in a line so that it's perfect, but you will get some kind of yarn coming off there. So if you can eyeball it, that is the best way to go about this. And that is it for our DIY West Elm macrame wall hanging. In total, we only spent around $65 making this wall hanging, and that is incredible because again, it ranges between $150 and $300, and we were able to make the large size for a fraction of the price. And I love the way this DIY turned out. And remember, you can recreate this yourself and put your own spin on it. Use a different color yarn or use different filigree tubes. Do whatever makes you happy. Now we're moving on to our second DIY. This DIY is Spackled Abstract Art. Well, the reason why this art is so popular is due to the fact that it really creates visual interest because it adds a layer of texture to your artwork. So the piece that we were inspired by is this spackled wall art piece from Williams-Sonoma, which retails for $850 for one piece and $1,700 for the pair. Today, we're only going to be making one piece, but the technique applies to both. So if you want to recreate the other one, you'll know exactly how to do it. To take it to the next level, spackle, I'm actually going to add some color via some gold leaf. And so this is actually called gold foiling, and it is a technique that has been popular for thousands of years, literally. Gold foiling was actually really popular in the creation of icons, which is also known as iconography. But gold foiling is something that you've seen become really popular recently due to the glam interior design style. But now it's expanding beyond glam and everyone is loving it. So we're going to really add it to this piece to create some even more visual interest. That's what I absolutely love about DIY. You can be inspired by something and then tweak it to really work with your space. To do this project, you're going to need a canvas, spackle, a spackle knife, white paint and beige paint, paint brushes, gold leaf or imitation gold leaf, and gold leaf adhesive or spray adhesive. When it comes to choosing your spackle, maybe look for one that has a color sensor. That's what I love to use because it changes color when it is dry. So you know exactly when your piece is ready for the next step so that you do not accidentally mess it up. Put some spackle on that canvas in the shape that you see in the Williams-Sonoma piece. And one of my pro tips is just to apply the spackle in layers because you don't want to overload it. You want there to be enough texture that if you walk by, you can notice that this piece of art is textured, but you don't want it to be too textured because it'll weigh really heavily on the canvas and it won't be able to hold it up. Step 2 is to allow your spackle to dry. Yes, this is a step because you don't want to skip this. You want it to dry completely because after that, we're going to paint on it and we don't want to actually mix the spackle with the paint because it doesn't look as refined. Now that it's dry, you want to get out your beige paint, and we're just going to use one of our paint brushes to paint the spackled portion and only the spackled portion beige. Then we want to allow that to dry. Next, we were actually going to grab our white paint and then paint the remainder of the canvas white and get in all those crevices where we had the beige paint, but it didn't turn out perfectly. This way, we're going to get a really pristine look. And that's why we're actually painting the canvas white afterwards, as opposed to doing it as step 1, which you might have been expecting. Now, if you're aiming to make your piece look exactly like the one from Williams-Sonoma, that's it. Once your piece is dried, it is complete. And you have this piece that looks identical to the one from Williams-Sonoma for a fraction of the price. But of course, we want to take it to the next level because this is deluxe or dupe. So we're going to add that gold leaf. What you need to do now is get your gold leaf adhesive or your spray adhesive and put it on that canvas. You only want to put it in a place that you know you want to have the gold leaf. We want a few pops of shimmer, but we don't want it to be overbearing unless that kind of works with our interior design style. To actually apply the gold leaf, what I want you to do is get a paintbrush that doesn't have any paint on it and very lightly press that gold leaf into that adhesive. Then once you've pressed it in, you can actually brush it off really, really lightly to have the excess pieces of gold leaf fall off. And we can make sure that we cover all the pieces that we've added the adhesive to. I love the way this turned out. I love that you can have a version that is completely neutral, or you can add an extra pop of color and depth with the gold foiling. All in all, this project cost us $95 as opposed to $850 when we added the gold foiling, and only $75 when we didn't add it. I think that this looks so luxe, and again, you can put your own spin on it and the price will go up or down depending upon the size you choose to create. Okay, you guys, that's it for today's episode of Deluxe or Dupe. I love how they both turned out. I hope that we were able to show you how easy it is to achieve these interior decor trends on a budget. Be sure to subscribe to Parade for more deluxe or dupes and check out my channel DIY with KB. Thanks for watching and see you next time.